Yeah, we're back.
Right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode number 95 of Hyperspace Hype. We are getting up there. Getting up there. Joining me as always, my co host Evan.
Glad to be here. Running a little bit late today, but I've had not a great day, but overall I'm excited to hear. I'm excited to be here because I love Star Wars Vision season 1, and I've loved everything I saw about Star Wars Vision season 2. I think this is a step up from the first one, which is remarkable because I love the first one. It's one of the best things Disney Lucasfilm has ever done. And I think season 2 is just a triumph. It's even stronger than before. I loved a lot of the episodes. I don't think there's a single episode that I did not like. There's some that I thought was like, okay, that was fun. But everyone I thought had to bring a certain theme or a certain element that I just really caught on to and clung to this time around. And my favorites are like my big time favorites. So there's some great stuff here.
Absolutely. I concur. I think I definitely like the season more. Of course, we still love the first season. We just did a commentary of all 9 episodes of Volume 1. So if you want to go check that out, that is currently live on the channel. Sync up with each episode. A lot of fun. Skip around. We had a lot of references for different episodes. But yeah, this one, a lot of different styles. But we still got the anime love this season, Evan.
Yeah, I think Studio Mirror really brought that. Studio Mirror was the Journey to the Dark Head one. They really brought their like anime aesthetic to it, but it also each one has a specific like anime style to it that's very interesting to me. Even though of course these aren't all Japanese studios, they're all from across around the world. There's certain aesthetics and certain elements that really just rang true to me from an anime style and just beyond anime. Just incredible shorts with. Because I remember I was taken aback when they revealed Celebration last year. Was it no Celebration? Whenever we last went before last year. Anyways,
2022.
Was it 22? Yeah, I think it was. Or no, it was one before that.
2019.
Whatever. 22. Whenever they revealed that Visions wasn't going to be just anime, there was going to be different studios from around the world. I was like, really? I kind of like that unique anime style.
Kind of biased.
I was biased, very much biased, because I was like, I wanted sequels to season 1 stuff.
Sure.
But this time around, we didn't get those, but we got a lot of different styles, and I love how each culture, you can see the cultural footprints and cultural elements in this shorts. And I think another thing that I think I like this one a little bit more than season 1 is that a lot of the shorts felt more complete. Not that I didn't love the cliffhangery ending of like a Lapinocho, which is my favorite, or Ninth Jedi, which is also one of my favorites. Because those
not as open ended,
right? Like those are open ended, like, and we're gonna go look for my father, or we're gonna go look for my sister, or we're gonna go do this next. And it's like, oh wow, these had certain open ended elements, but mostly it was concise story of the beginning and ending, and they could easily continue if they wanted to, but it would be messy. This one is just like it felt more tighter as a complete story. I think this time around,
a lot of them had endings where it's like this: the story you followed is complete, but there is new beginnings on the horizon.
Exactly, and those new beginnings could be very good or very bad.
Yeah, a lot of interesting things. So I figure we'll just go by them in order.
Let's do that. Let's do it. So this first one was
Sith.
Not even called the Sith, just Sith.
Sith.
This was a great one.
Spider-Verse.
Who did this one? Let's see here. Elgieri Studios. This isn't the French studio? No. Spanish, French, whatever.
I think French was
Spy Dancer. I think actually was that?
Yeah.
That sounds more like because that was about like the French Nazis kind of thing. But yeah, Elgieri Studios, The Sith. This was as a first short, incredible, dude. We're witnessing like this huge. Well, at least where she's from, it seemed to be like this huge white landscape, and it has a big painting aesthetic to it, which I really dug.
Yeah.
It was really cool to see how like the painting really informed her character and informed like the landscape and everything
Yeah,
about the characters and animation.
alive in a sense.
Hmm. Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
cool. I love
Hmm.
how she walk into like different rooms where like it could be just a white void empty. It's like she's like bringing her own personality to the empty void, which is really cool.
Great point there. Yeah, she's like bringing her personality to the empty void, and through that, through her paintings, through her personality, we get to see glimpses of her dreams and her desires. Right, like she's
Hmm.
painting, and she wants to create something new, something fresh for herself. And while this is going on, first of all, we see like I believe there's like I've only watched these once. Right, my brother's
Yeah,
literally watching them twice. Right as we
I
speak.
just finished.
Uh, um, so yeah, you probably have a better glimpse than I do, or memory than
Sure.
I do. But we see her like sleeping, right, and we see the
Mm-hmm.
darkness spreading out from her while she's sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then when she tries to paint like a new art or whatever, um, as she's painting, she remarks how the darkness is still there, right? It's still creeping out
Yeah, it
through
won't
her
go
different colors.
away.
It won't go away. The colors they change from like red and white, or not red and white, but just like yellow
Mhm.
and white or whatever, to black. Is everything turns to black eventually for her.
Yeah.
And I think this is signifying her background because, of course, as we learn, by
Hmm.
the way, full spoilers for season 2 Vision. We're going to go over everything in detail,
Yeah.
obviously. Um, we see that she actually it was part Sith, and what she's running away from is technically herself, and of course the person tracking her, Sith Master, which is
Yeah.
pretty interesting.
I love the
Um,
design of that guy.
oh my god, what a great the Sith designs in general this season of Visions, incredible, incredible.
Every time I look at these character designs, I look at my own show and I'm like, what am I doing? I gotta do some upgrades.
You can't compare yourself to the millions of dollars that these shorts. I don't know, millions, $100,000.
They have more resources than I.
Exactly, exactly. Man, great stuff. But
Mm.
so yeah, the Sith guy here, very much a Darth. Which one? Darth
Malgus?
Malgus. What?
I think it is Malgus
Malgus. Yeah, Darth
from
Malgus
from
aesthetic.
Old
Old
Republic.
Republic.
Yeah,
Yeah, I wish it was an old High Republic.
got that crackle blade.
He has a crackle like blade, and it's really cool because man, there's so much to talk
Mm.
about. But like, he's looking for her because he was her master, and she was the apprentice. He wants to keep the rule of two alive, right? It's like she
Mm.
ran away basically from the rule of two. So either you kill me and take on somebody else, or I kill you, I find a new apprentice kind of thing. That's why he's actively searching for her because of this
Mm-hmm.
rule that he's uh, put himself into, which is kind of goes into what makes her so unique, right? Because he's following her because of the rule of two, this rigid rule, and of course he's evil. But she wants to break away from those rules. First of all, she doesn't want to become a Sith anymore, so she wants to break away from that paradigm, that rules that she has to follow. And then
Mm-hmm.
she wants to just create something new for herself. Unlike the Sith, who wants to go back to the old ways, she wants to create something new for herself. But through
Mm-hmm.
that, she's refusing, and we talked about this a lot through like Last Jedi, especially the other Star Wars media, where you can't run away from your past, right? You can't just fully ignore your past. You have to learn to accept it and move on
Yeah.
by accepting it, right? It's always going to be a part of you. You just have to learn, take the lessons from it, and move forward from there. That's the only way to get like a healthy progression in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And what she eventually does, because again, she can't run away from it. We see the black coming out of the paintings. We see the blackness coming out of her heart.
Yeah.
And eventually she learns to meld those two beings inside of her, the light and the darkness, which was
The balance.
the balance, which is just genius. This is
A
stuff I
lot.
wanted.
A lot of these hit the balance remark, and I'm just like, I love it.
Yeah, balance was a big. This whole season basically had a theme of balance, but also a theme of like oppression and growing from that oppression,
Mm.
in whichever way the characters seem fit. But like they came from an oppressed society or a certain old timey society and wanting to go someplace new, an exploration of someplace new. Where I think season 1 is mostly about just like the light in people. It was very much like it had the blue aesthetic, or at least for the Vision's title, had that blue.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was a lot of heroes, right? Like the twins, like the brother was the hero, Lapinotu, Lap was the hero, Village Bride, B was the hero, or F was the hero. Um, so like these characters come across as heroes like characters. We get the one evil one with Akagiri at the very end, but
Mm.
most of those were about hero. Even the duel, which was like a Sith-like character or abandoned Sith, whatever you want to say,
Sure.
who's very much saving the cat in the tree with the village.
Mm,
This aesthetic, though, or this season, it was all about like balance and people finding a new path for themselves or overcoming something dark that was in their lives before
hmm
and charting something new. And then in general, I think this first episode is just remarkable how she was able to mold both parts of herself, the
hmm
red and the yellow blade. I'm like, let's go. It
Oh,
was very hype inducing.
I especially love the design of said blade because when she's just wielding it as a single blade, it's like, oh hey, I love when lightsabers are katanas. It's got that little curve. But then when it came out, it was like curved this way, but then also that way. Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
just like a nice symmetry. Also like
Hmm.
yin yang in a sense.
Yin
Um,
yang big time. Yeah.
which is really cool. A lot of great like little cool bits, like when they're dueling, how the different like clashing of the dark and the light, splattered paint going, and they're like throwing it back and forth.
It was
Um,
awesome.
I love like there's a little bit like when she's like walks in, like at the start of the episode, she's walking into her art pieces of the world, and there are like some that are just like faint sketches that aren't fully completed, but they're still like alive and moving.
Hmm.
It's really cool. I love her droid as well.
Oh yeah, let's talk about her droid. What was her droid's name here? E2.
Mm,
E2 was a fantastic droid.
little eyeball.
And little eyeball. We were playing Jedi Survivor, and B2 very similar to those little small like pet-like droids that really come in clutch.
Yeah.
And I love the moment when the E2 kind of like becomes a cannon in a sense, and like blows the head
Mm.
off one of the other Sith assassins that were coming after her.
I love how I
Cool.
love how it sinks into her ship at the end, and it's like a little eyeball on the ship.
Yeah, exactly. It's always keeping watch of her, always keeping her safe.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Love
But
her
yeah,
wheel bike as well.
let's talk about that. The wheel bike sequence was stunning. Just going
Mm.
across like this red, yellow, dark landscape with the sun on either side. It was just very cool. And again, that was her trying to escape her past, her trying to escape this life that she was living. Because she seemed very comfortable in her life, of course. She goes back to the very end, but still, it's just like her trying to run away from her past, literally.
Yeah.
And she can't run away. And she has to come back and decide to fight. And the fight she did. But yeah, the fight was incredible. The flight scene with the bike was incredible. And very much like the General Grievous ship in Utapau,
Yeah.
which is very cool. I love a good wheel bike.
Yeah.
But in general, yeah, she was great. Again, main character was great. The villain had a great voice. The voice acting in general from this season. I watched them all in English this time around because no anime, no need to watch them in Japanese.
What is your reasoning?
There's no Japanese anime aesthetic, so I didn't want to switch between different languages each short. You know what I mean? So I just like straight up English.
I started the short for the first one, and yeah, I watched them all in English too, just for like the ease of quickness, and then I'll
Yes.
hop into them later. But I started to hear her first line, and I was like looking in the mouth, and I was like, oh, I forgot about its dubbing. But
Yeah.
then I don't know. I think that was maybe a fluke, because then like as they went on, I'm like, no, they're syncing up very well. They're actually like very good at this.
Yeah, it might have been a fluke because I realized it because I paused it. My brother and I paused it in the first one. We were like, should we do English? Because the voice thing that was kind of weird. So it might have been a glitch in the system or whatever in the first episode. But overall, the English voice acting was very good this time around. Yeah.
I am impressed that like a lot of, I don't know if it was the same actors across, but wherever the studio hails from in their original language, it feels like whenever they did English, they still like maintain the same accents from said culture.
Oh yeah. Possibly. Yeah, I have to look because I remember the first time around we knew the cast pretty well going in. I don't remember the cast for this one as
Hmm.
much as I knew the first one. Like we knew like Dev Patel was coming in, Hiddleston. We're like,
Yeah,
okay, wow, they
a
got some
lot of
good
big
stuff here.
names.
A lot of big names. I didn't hear about any big names this time around, but
No Joseph
maybe
Gordon-Levitt.
no Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I know, yeah. I still haven't watched Visions in one in English at all. I should go back.
Give it a shot.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Did you? Now, when we got to specific anime ones here, did you watch those in English?
No, there's only one Japanese studio, right? Or at least
I think so, but like when you got there, was that English for you?
yeah, they're all in English. They're all in English.
Hmm.
This one,
But
because
yeah,
I didn't want to switch back and forth. But in general, yeah.
Yeah, this is a good one for start.
Very good one. Do you have a ranking yet?
I do. I did it as I went.
Okay, so we'll do that after the fact. You go
Yeah.
first because I have not created my ranking. I just have like a sporadic top three.
Should I say like where it is on my list as we review
Sure,
them?
let's
Okay.
go.
Okay. So currently I have.
Sith at number 9. Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh
Oh fuck! He's canceled. All right, hold on. I need to reopen. Okay. I have it at 7 out of 9. Oh no, he spit.
shit! Nani?
I love them all. They're all really good.
Wow. It's that first place aesthetic where you watch it first and it kind of slips from your
Oh, it was
mind.
the first. It was first for a bit, and it was like, oh, oh, they keep topping.
I agree. I mean, I don't agree with number 7. I don't think, at least. I mean, they were all so great. I don't think I agree with number 7.
You didn't
But
have a ranking. I went to go look around.
oh yeah, sorry. Thank you for liking my Black Society review.
Well, I was looking at I was looking up a list of rankings just so I can get the episode titles because I was plugging into the tags on YouTube.
Yeah. I
So
think
then
I
I
only
went to
did
make
my
it.
ranking really when we did our Vision Season 2 commentary. Or Vision Season 1 commentary. That's the only time I did a Vision Season 1 ranking at all. Because I watched them again. I was like, okay. But when I first watched Vision Season 1, I didn't make a ranking. Anyways, 7, that's interesting. So number 2, let's move on to
Screecher's Reach.
which is, let me say it right now, this is my favorite episode. This is
Favorite.
easily my favorite episode.
Favorite. Evan loves the Irish.
Probably, I know. I mean, having come from Ireland, no.
My half of me hails from.
Of course you do. This one is just remarkable. I think, what was this? Cartoon Saloon?
Yes, I think
Let's see
so.
here.
I was really taken aback by the aesthetic. The art style feels very like storybook.
Yes. In a story it was.
Yeah.
Because this was a picturesque, gorgeous journey that, you know me, I love me some dark shit. This was dark. This is probably the darkest story of all of Visions. 1 and 2.
Let me scroll.
I mean, Akagiri was pretty dark at the end as well.
Akagiri is as quite
dark.
mouse.
I mean, even Akagiri, he doesn't kill her friend or anything. He just leaves and becomes a Sith. This one, we kind of get the same thing, but I guess through the childlike horror aesthetic, this was remarkable. I think people were even saying, like, this is a George Lucas-esque short in a sense of, we wanted to find your new beginning, right? Find a new path, find a different life outside of the one that you're living in. But it's a reversal of George Lucas's path, right? It's a reversal because it the ending kind of trips you up a little bit. And having rewatched it, this is the only one I've rewatched, so I lied earlier. This is the only one I rewatched. And I think the thing on her neck is like a transmitter. Did you realize that at first?
No, at first I thought it was just a simple necklace.
Me too, but I don't think it is, right?
Well, no, by the end it's revealed there's I think it's a comm.
A comm transmitter. I didn't realize that the first time I watched it.
Yeah, or because then even it lights up red, and I was like, "Is it housing Kyber?" There's a lot of Kyber in the season.
The ship at the end, Sith ship, looked to be like a Kyber crystal / diamond of some shape.
You mean jean jacket from Nope?
Exactly. I told her, I was like, nope. No. Anyways, let's talk about this because these are the only one with the characters I remember. Dow, whatever you want to say, Daal. Living in this, we open up and she's living at this like smelting mine kind of thing. This construction, combustion kind of mine factory, whatever you want to call it. And again, this is an example of imperial oppression, as we'll see in a lot of these other shorts. And her friends do not like or at least her specifically does not like the life that she's living in. Her friend, let me see his name, Brayton.
Bathan, I think.
Bathan, yeah, Bathan. And they also have 2 little friends here. They also don't like the life that they're living in, but you can tell that Bathan and the other kid, they find harmony, they find happiness amidst the darkness, in a sense, right? They find the happiness amidst like the chaos and the unfortunate circumstances they are living in. For her, she has an admirable perspective. She wants to go reach for the stars, basically, right? She wants to look beyond what she's living in. And initially, you're like, this is fantastic. Like, you get your Luke Skywalker. I want to go do something more, right?
Yeah.
Like your hero's journey aesthetic. And she's a girl. She has like that heroine's journey in a sense here,
Yeah.
where she also wants to go across the stars and find something new. She wants to escape her imperial oppression. And immediately she's like, I want to get out of here. And one of the kids like, we could steal some speeders, and they steal some speeders. They go along, and we get this beautiful shots, beautiful sequence of just like the landscape at they're in. Again, it has like the Irish folktale aesthetic to it, where you can see the beautiful landscapes in the background, beautiful animal shots here, great stuff. And when they stop by for a rest at a campfire, she explains how, again, she just wants to do something more, right? She wants to do something more with her life. And Bathan says, well, there are worse lives, Dow. And she immediately responds, like, there are better lives, which,
Loved
again, great line, immediately captures both of the dreams of both characters, right? Where Bathan's is like, he's not succumbing to his awful life. He also wishes that they were better off, of course. They want a better life for themselves as children. But he appreciates the friends he got. As he looks on, he looks at his dumb friends just banging their head against the wall, having some fun. And even Dahl laughs and cheers. Not cheers, but just laughs and smiles.
Yeah.
But again, the idea that she wants a better life is still in the back of her mind. And then he says, exactly what cost? Because he says, even though he says she says she wants to go someplace different. He says, well, if you ever get the chance, take it and don't look back. Basically, seal the fate, giving her permission, basically. And then, they enter the dark side cave here. Very much a dark side cave. And
I was like wondering if, as it was going on, it was like, is it real?
Yeah. That's the thing we're supposed to glean from this initially. We're like, is this real? Because as I mentioned earlier, it seems like an Irish folk tale. Like they talk about the scary ghost of the cave. Well, we're gonna find it, right? And we're gonna defeat it. Yay!
We're gonna find the banshees of Sharon.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're gonna find these ghosts, these ghouls. And
should we watch The Dead Don't Die?
No, it's not a great movie.
It's not. But I'll throw it on time to time.
I saw the first opening night as well. Adam Driver, baby. Bill Murray.
I'll throw it on for like the hokiness. It's just so weird.
Yeah, and Hot Selena Gomez too. But yeah, overall, we see the Dark Side Cave, and we're initially like, "Is this real?" Because immediately they hear the screams, and the cave starts crumbling down. And
it's also interesting to point, like, she disconnects from the group and runs so far ahead, and it's like, oh hey, wait, come back, where are you going?
Having we watched this, Nathan, the idea that she gets so far ahead and the cave comes down and she's like, go on without me kind of sense, like she's very confident and she's like, give me strength. And do you think this is a trial? This is a trial for her, right?
Oh, it is. It's confirmed as much. That is a test that she passed. But
did she know it was a trial going in?
I think she was aware, but she wasn't aware if she, like, after all was said and done, if she even did what she was supposed to. That's why she asks. What I did find interesting is, like, I figured, like, okay, this has to be like some sort of like confrontation that's purposeful. I was just thinking of it from a Jedi perspective and confronting fear. That's what I thought it was until the reverse, which it was interesting because, like, they do confront the ghost, the ancient Sith that's in there, who turns out to be a real entity.
We know it's real because we see her form amidst the darkness, pull out the red lightsaber. Great visuals again, because you see the red shine through Dahl's eyes, like the whole lightsaber is ignited, and then scratches her, and you're like, oh wait, ayo, this is real. This is not a dream.
And then the tides change when she gets a hold of the lightsaber. And I was thinking, like, maybe they'll do a Ninth Jedi situation. The blade color will turn or something.
No, it's
But
still
not
red. It's
still
still
red. And I
haunted.
was like, hey, that's just canon, so that's fine. So then it goes on, and walking out, I was even sitting there, and I was like, all right, two things could happen. Either she's brought a new peace to the world through this encounter, or she takes the place of said dark side user. And I was like, oh no, I hope it's not the latter. And then it was
Oof,
the latter.
it was the latter. I also want to explain or go into like the sequence of events where she got the lightsaber. Right, there's a stunning shot. I got the GIF of it where she's climbing up, reaching for the light. Right, and again,
Yes.
we're thinking she's like the hero here, right? Or she still
Yeah.
could be, but like she's reaching for the light, and she's reaching her arms up. There's a big triangle shaped rock. The Sith woman is at the very bottom, just like clinging. And there's a beautiful wide shot where you can see the Sith arm reaching up while Dahl's arm is reaching up toward the light. We see
Yeah.
the rock start to tremble, and we're like, oh, she is force sensitive. The
Mhm.
rock starts to tremble, and it falls down, and that's when like chaos happens, and she blacks out. We realize when she wakes up that the rock has crushed the ancient Sith, the old lady, and she's continuing to scream. We see more of her like human features now, like the old white and gray hair, the
Yeah.
saggy skin,
You
as she's
could
like reaching for the lightsaber.
yeah, you can even make like a counter argument that, like, it's reaching for the light, but the fact that she's bringing that rock closer, when you're at the point of view of the cliffside and like a rock is coming outward, it's becoming greater in mass as it becomes in your view. Therefore, the darkness of the rock overtaking the view of the light.
It's like a total eclipse, right? It's eclipsing the light, and
Yeah,
that's kind of like a metaphor for what's happening with her character as well. Yeah,
using the darkness to defeat darkness, as the Sith often do.
as they often do, exactly, and just the unknowing nature of it all from her perspective. She's just trying to survive.
Yeah.
But as we're talking about, yeah, it's very much a Sith attribute there. Um, and yeah, she gets a lightsaber, ignites it, and then just like pulls it up. And then, do we hear anything, or does it cut out silently? I think it's like a scream or whatever.
Mm.
But she walks out, and she's just like holding it with dear life, and just like she's
It's
unclear
like
what she even did.
it's just like it was real. Like,
It was
holding it.
real. And then they're like, "What did you do? What did you do?"
We got to watch the Flash already, so we can stop.
I know it's a great.
What did he do? What was
But
he
yeah,
cooking?
but Braden was just like, or Bathan's like, "What did you do, Doc?" He's concerned for her because he can tell
Yeah.
something's wrong. She's shaking uncontrollably.
Hmm.
Um, and before she can even respond, yeah, we see the Sith ship come down, and it's very disturbing in how it's viewed from a light source, right? It's like it's a light, it's a glinting light, and I
Hmm.
think that's emblematic of like where Dahl's dream is, right? She thinks whatever it is a way out. It's a safe passage away from this awful, dark, crumbling factory life that she's used to. And for her, that's a light, right? It's a light as like that's a light for her. But we know it's a Sith, and the Sith are used to always like deceive and manipulate their users. Um,
Yeah.
and man, just seeing her take a step forward, just kind of bring my friends, and it's immediately like, no,
Mm.
it's so disturbing. And
Yeah.
then you can see the other kids just like back away slowly as she moves up.
Yeah.
Um,
At a
and
point, I think when she
yeah,
did exclaim the no, like that's when the Sith eyes glue yellow.
yes,
It's like,
yeah.
this is the real ghost.
And then the words that like it's so tear jerking because she's crumbling, starts tearing up now. She turned around to her friends. She's like, "You ever said that if something happens, don't look back, right? Don't look back, right?" Uh,
Balin
and
has a very slight nod.
yeah, where he's like, I interpret it as a slight nod as well, even though he doesn't know where she's going. Nobody knows. They're
Yeah.
just children, right? But I think he wants to be supportive of her in that instance, right?
Yeah.
But then he's also scared, and when she starts crying, he starts like it's very dark, because he starts to like look worried. There's a worried expression on him, but he did give that slight nod, which is very interesting.
Yeah. This
And then
episode
yeah,
is the living embodiment of not like this.
not like this at all. She climbs into the ship and starts closing, and she said, "Don't look back," but she's the only one really looking back as
Mm.
Maybe is there a tint of regret there? Is the feeling going into the unknown, but not in like Frozen 2 into the unknown. It's not happy,
Right.
right? It's like,
It's not, you're not gonna find yourself, or if you do,
yeah,
you're not gonna like what you find.
exactly, Nathan,
the
exactly. So
the
yeah,
unfortunate reality hits, because like there are like some points, there, because there are a lot of endings like this where like the Force user goes off with a new master, leaving behind the family they knew. But the unfortunate thing in regards to the Sith is there's really no glimmer of hope that they're ever going to see each other again.
exactly. Like, we get the perspective a lot from Jedi who are taken as kids away from their families, and it is kind of weird and not right. But it's like most families, they accept it, right? Most families are like, okay, you can move on, whether it's a better life or going away from their bad family life or just going off someplace new with the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
It's a family thing. They're accepting their young ones to move on to get force training, whatever. This
Mm-hmm.
one, there's no parents around. It's a very child YA outlook here,
Yeah, like
and
the
yeah,
factory we experienced in Bad Batch season 2.
exactly right. Yeah. So man, it was just very dark and very haunting, chilling. I love the animation overall. It was just it soared for me. I loved every bit. I was like, my brother and I were just like, whoa, 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 like every time. And then when the Sith showed up, I was like, whoa, and the echoing voice of the Sith woman. It was a lot of exclamations. I was losing my mind for this one. This
Mm.
one, my brother and I were like, this is peak. This is peak fiction. I really tweeted it out. I was like, peak episode 2, peak. What? Holy shit!
Huh.
I didn't really tweet my reactions during the episode a lot, besides 2 and 5. But
Mhm.
overall, great stuff here.
Yeah, it
Where's that in your ranking?
it's high up, Evan. It's 6,
Oh my god, 6!
but
Wow,
I dug the hell out of it.
I'm very curious to see what your other ones are then, because you're wrong.
I'm sure you'll find the cover like that. Yes.
Yeah, is it this next one here? What's number 3?
Number 3 is In the Stars, which felt very Leica.
All the stars. No, not all the stars. Um, in the stars felt very much like as you meet two children, your Cochin and Kitchena.
Mm.
This was another example of living through oppression, through the dark aesthetic. We talked a lot about Mandalorian and Bad Batch this season, about how those heroes used to, create life throughout the shadows of the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
We see a lot in Bad Batch, as Nathan just mentioned. There's one episode, 2 episodes, where they go to like this pit mine place with the children, and it's very much a dark imperial oppression aesthetic. They're not really imperial, but the people thriving off the imperial occupation.
Mm.
And then Mandalorian, like the shadows of Mandalore, right? But then like there's nature still there, right? In episode 9, spoiler alert for Mando season 3 if you didn't watch it. But Bo-Katan comments on like there used to be the Gardens of Mandalore, like there's still life here, and that kind of reminded me what happened in this one, where in the stars, a lot of the nature, the plant life, it's gone, it's decrepit, it's bleeding out, dead, whatever, due to the Imperial occupation, and that's seen through like the loss of their water. There's no more water source. The older sister has to like scavenge for water by stealing from the Imperials, who are holding up all the water, who are basically holding up all the life, because water is an example of life,
Yeah.
holding up the life of this land that they just have completely taken over. They are the last of their kind, which is very heartbreaking. There's nobody else to support them, nobody else around them besides each other, which is very heartwarming. And I loved this story overall.
Yeah, I was really into it. I love the art style, especially. It's gorgeous lighting. Just the way they use lighting in a lot of these has just been so stellar. The way it interacts with the darks and the everything, it's great. But as it was going on, I love the journey of basically reawakening that hope of within the older sister, instead of hiding her power in fear, granted, for what happened with their mother.
Yeah, let's talk about that, right? Because the older sister lives in fear. The younger sister believes in the hope. We first see her encountering this TIE fighter that's doing its rounds
Mm-hmm.
across the land, and immediately sticks her hand out to try and like stop it. But then the older sister stops her, because we can't have ourselves be taken. We can't have ourselves be spotted by the Imperials. We will die like our mother. Cut to this beautiful flashback with the mother, where we
Through
realize the
paint.
mother, yeah, through paint, which is awesome, very similar to the first episode, Sith. This paint historical aesthetic to it, where we learn what happened to the mother, who had a lot more people around her back when the society was thriving, at least, and the Imperials first came. The mother rounded up everybody else, and she left. I think key point here is that she left her children to go on to do this justifiable path, but she still left them. Which I think comes up at the end here, at the end of the short when they're together. But she initially left them. They go try to take the water back from the Imperials, but it ends in failure. The Imperials they outnumbered them. They were too strong. And I think the key thing why it initially fails, unfortunately for the mother here, was because she was alone. Not alone because she had other people with her. She technically wasn't alone, but she wasn't with her family. She wasn't with her loved ones. I think force is always strongest when you're fighting with the ones you love or for the ones you love. And granted, she was fighting for the one she loves in her family and the world around her. But I think the point is that she was still alone. There's a shot of her reaching her hand out against the ATST, which again, another use of ATST as like this demonic Imperial figure.
It's the scariest
genius.
walker by far.
It's the scariest walker. It could have just done any other thing, but the ATST, similar to Mandalorian season 1, episode 3 or 4.
It's because it has a face.
It has a face, those red eyes, red lights, that red aesthetic again from this season, showing up again here. But yeah, there's a shot where in her flashback where she's all alone, she reaches to arm out like the little daughter did at first, but it ends in failure. And that's why the older sister's like, we can't keep on doing this. But then they're running out of water, so the older sister has to go scavenge herself for water. In the end, basically in them or her getting caught. Or no. It ends in her getting the water safe and sound. But then she turns around and sees that her younger sister indeed did come with her to support her.
Which I'll get into right now.
Oh, you didn't like this?
No, it made sense without this character set up, this younger sister. Maybe I played too much Last of Us, but I was kind of
skill was awful.
I was getting freaked out at because I'm just like, we're in survival mode. Please stop being so reckless. I know she's a child.
I had the same thought with the Indian story.
Really?
Where I'm like, she was super reckless for no reason. Just blatantly.
Not as much as this kid, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, not as much as this because this one she was literally in an Imperial compound surrounded by stormtroopers. But it didn't, for some reason, it didn't bother me as much as the Indian one did. But maybe because she was there trying to save her sister, and she had the idea about her mom, so she had like that brave lineage to her. I don't know. But in general, I was like, come on. But it did work out for me in the end. Because I did love this short, and I did love how she has to go. The older sister now has to go save her younger sister. They have to run away from the Imperials. Which again, there's a cool shot of the Imperials having all this water tank and just the light blue symbolism of it all amidst like the gray and the dark and the white at the stormtroopers. It's very striking.
It looks very it's so vibrant. It looks very Oasis like.
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, in regards to the younger sister, I think she works very well for the service of the arc of the older sister, because that's primary. Like, because the younger sister doesn't really change. She's always like that optimistic hope. It's getting the older sister there.
Exactly.
Also, I'm going to need fiction and nonfiction to stop pouring and checking to see if you have any more water over the ground. Because what if there is more water in there? You're gonna spill it on the ground. Ray would never. She didn't do that. She's like,
do you have any water? Oh, our water's gone.
Is there any more? Stop it. All right.
That's hilarious. Good point. I just remember the name now. The older sister's name is Coach, and younger sister is Tichina.
I also love just all the, because you can tell it's like they're miniatures that were built. The detail is amazing. I love, like, just from the opening shot of the TIE fighter, the depth of field is so grand because it's such a small scale. It's so good.
It's like you're right. Like it looks so grand and epic, but it's such a small scale that it looks even more impressive.
And I tend to usually with how these would go, whenever they would have emotions on the face, like usually they have to swap out a head mold on the model to another one, and you have to do that like frame by frame to get the movement. And I'm like, God damn, how awful of a job to get so precise with that, because like you have to put it in the exact same spot, the model has to be the exact same, just have a little like little movement.
Yeah, I haven't watched a good call. I haven't watched the behind the scenes of each of the shorts. They're all on there. It's called like a
Oh, I didn't know
filmmaker
that was
focus.
there.
If you go to the extras, every single episode is a filmmaker focus thing going into like the
Oh, there it is.
designs and the story elements for each one. I haven't got into those yet, but I think I will today. But
There's
either
fun.
way, um, as Koshin is running away, as Tichina gets caught, Tichina is thrown overboard, which I was like, oh shit. And the best part about this is because you think Tichina is the one with the force, right? Because she was the one trying to strike
Yeah.
down the TIE fighter, but it's Koshin, the one who catches her. The older sister catches her, the one who refused to believe is now believing through the grit of her sister, through the grit of her memories of her mother. Like, right? Like, she finally is able to save her sister. They hug, and the music is soaring. This probably has one of my favorite musical tracks in the entire series here, season 2 at least.
Ooh.
As I was rewatching this, and I'm like, oh my god, the score is like, I can't remember it now, but it's like it's like a up and down, like euphoric, like triumphant song choice here as they clasp hands together. Both use the force. Both are able to take down the TIE fighter. Or no, they don't even take down the ATST. They just break
They
away the
flood
TIE
the
ship.
factory,
They flood the factory, which then floods everybody, including
the
them,
world.
as they go.
Yeah.
Yeah, floods the world, themselves included. And then they wake up. Tichina is in the lap of her older sister, Cochin. The skies are now clear. The
Factory's
score is
no longer
rising. The
clouding.
factory's gone. And then the flowers, they're golden, right? They're going, rising up because they're golden. Life is brought back to the planet. The painting on the rocks shine gold, yellow. The sky is yellow. There's so much hope. Oh my gosh, I loved In the Stars so much. It was very gorgeous, very heroic and warm and beautiful. And just the story about sisterhood, like, right? Like the theme of sisterhood is so strong here. How they use each other to uplift themselves, save themselves from their own oppression. Beautiful story about sisters coming together to chart a better path. Great stuff here In the Stars.
Absolutely.
I assume this is year number 8.
It is.
Yeah, there we go.
How'd you know? How'd you know?
As soon as you're
Get
like,
off my letterbox.
no, I'm good. I'm not even on your letterbox.
It's public.
Is it
Don't
public?
look.
Okay. I like guessing. I didn't guess.
Yeah,
I
you guys
didn't.
know that's funny.
I didn't look. But given just the way you said it, I assume this next one is number 9. By the way.
Fuck.
Yeah. Let's go.
Stop playing
Let's
bingo.
go!
Well, all right. Well, let's get into it. Let's get into it because I actually like.
This is my lower one as well. But again, I loved a lot of. Like Nathan and I said at the beginning, we love all of these. It's just what really connects with us. This one was my least favorite, even though I'm a huge racing guy. We talked about it in Bad Batch season 2. I love a good race. I love Ford v Ferrari, James Mangold.
One
But
of
this
the
one
ships was like the Mantis model.
yeah, one of the two was definitely the Mantis, right? I was like, okay, that's
The
definitely
same make, yeah.
some Jedi Fallen Order Mantis. I was like, Grease or Grease? Are you in there? Yeah, but overall, this was a very sweet one. It didn't really connect with me because
Yeah.
I like forced elements in mine a bit more.
Sure.
This was very much a grounded racing one, but
Is
similar
this
to how. Oh yeah.
just for, is this the same studio that worked on like Wallace and Gromit and
Yes,
Sugar Run?
Studio Aardman, AARD, yeah, AARD Man, studio behind Wallace and Gromit and Shaun of the Sheep,
And
and
for that
similar,
point,
exactly, it's very similar to those movies
and I
where
love those movies so much. And
they're
that's
great.
why even watching this, like it's a pure delight, just as well. Like just hearing it's very British
Yeah,
influence with the just the voices, but yeah, just like the whole art style is the comedy timing. They mastered it. Love it.
exactly. Similar to the other one, like Shaun of the Sheep, especially, where it's a very light on plot movie, right? They're light
Sure.
on like, and plot meaning like what happens to the characters. Point A to point B. It's the plot. The plot is very light here. It's just girl racing with her mother. Turns out that she loves her mother. Very light and plot, but the story here, the story
Yeah.
is very interesting. The story about motherhood, about family, and reconnecting with your past and reconnecting with the family that cherishes and loves you. Um,
Yeah.
it's very delightful. Um,
Wedge Antilles is there.
Wedge Antilles is like this cocky, uh, over
Showman,
over
race
exuberant
host.
showman. Yeah, very funny. This is probably the most comedic one of the bunch here because I was laughing a lot. Just
Yeah.
Wedge's lines are very funny. Um, the designs, of course, Wallace and Gromit on the sheep, very
Yeah.
cool, interesting designs here. And I like the adolescent YA tone of it all. She's like
Hmm.
trying to again. She's not in a bad spot, but she's just trying to hide from her past. That past being her reckless and dirty mother. She wants to go to the academy to just like he wants to go to academy and just get a normal life, right? I just want to be a normal
Yeah.
kid. And even when the racing thing is brought up to her, she's interested, but she refuses to get involved
Hmm.
because she wants to be just a normal kid. She doesn't want to get into a race and embarrass herself, or just she doesn't feel like she needs to prove herself in a way because
Yeah. I mean, she doesn't even
yeah,
like even try to like stand up to the bully in any way. She's just like, oh,
no,
all right, well,
yeah,
yeah.
she just succumbs to like her not even her bad position because there are rich people, but then she was just well off. They had a really messy house and stuff like that. They weren't like thriving, but they were living well. It's similar
Yeah.
to how in Creatures of Returus, like there are worse lives, right?
Yeah.
Where she was doing well, and then in general, just internally for her, she felt like she didn't want to go mess around with her mom. Her mom's gonna bring out the worst sides of it all, but she's not remembering or she's not choosing to remember the joy that she finds in racing that was
Hmm.
always there. The joy that she finds with her mother, that her mother always did love her. So it became a story about not only her as a child, but the mother as well. As the mother, as they both grow through this experience, they grow to love each other even more so than
Yeah.
before. Um,
Absolutely.
and the race though was just very fun, a very fun race going
Oh
all
yeah.
throughout this weird city.
I love I love the designs of the Wookiees just being so lanky. it's, it's so funny, just like very like thick body, but then just like very thin, spindly arms.
Yeah. um, oh, and there's also some great cuts here as like they're making jokes, and one of them made a joke, and just like the editing and cut, it's like it cut to like a different scene or whatever. I
Yeah,
forget what the exact cut or line was, but it was just very funny.
I I
In
love
general.
the. I think my favorite cut was like when the bully lost the race, and she's just like, "Oh, it's not fair." Airbag.
Yeah. um, But yeah. Even the bully, like the bully is like such a bully, but the mom is too, right? So
It's
it
very Draco Lucius.
big time Draco Lucius vibes. Where
Mm.
Goblet of Fire. If it rains, you'll be the first to know. Um,
Damn.
where love that line. But
Howdy.
there. What's up, Orange? Just going over Star Wars Visions, our love for this. What was episode one? What is that? Oh, I Am Your Mother.
Oh,
Which again, the bully has a mother who is pretty much just like her. Like you can tell the bully is the way she is because of her mother, which is so
yeah,
fascinating because our main hero is the way she is because of her mother as well, but she's trying to hide it, right? She's trying to hide her love of racing, trying to hide what she really dreams and cares about, which is racing. And the mother knows that, as a mother should.
yeah,
She realizes her dream, and then even though she crash lands on the race in unexpected fashion, she immediately is like, "We're doing this. Let's do this. We can have them laughing at us. We can't have them." Even more so, just instead of proving themselves, it's more so just enjoying more time with your daughter,
yeah,
and that's all that matters. All that matters in this short here. And then at the end, she accepts the joy that she always found herself in with racing, and then being a pilot. Being the best pilot in the galaxy.
yeah.
So it's very fun, very cute short here. I loved it.
Absolutely. This it's also funny gags like the bully ship had like a little mini Death Star.
Oh yeah. So yeah, just again, the daughter has some great flight skills. The mother had some great lines here. Yeah, I love the whole Death Star aesthetic to it.
Yeah, it was a great
Very
one.
simple tale, but just told through a very British racing flight lens, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Brought me back to Star Wars Resistance in that way.
Oh,
But yeah, very fun story. You said this is your number 8, I would assume. You said, yeah,
9.
number 9. Yeah,
You
8
already,
was
you already guessed correctly.
8. Yeah, I forget what I said. There's 9 shorts in general. Yeah, so this
Yeah,
is your last one.
in the stars was my 8. Sith was my 7. Screech's Reach was 6.
Wow. So these bottoms, so the second half really worked for
Top
you.
5, baby.
Top 5 here. So we'll go into what's after I'm Your Mother. Is this Journey to the Dark Head?
Journey to the Dark Head.
Are we
The
here?
longest one.
Studio Mirror, Journey to the Dark Head, 20, it's like 20-something minutes. Peak!
Peak.
I love
Peak.
Studio Mirror. Off the bat, I think
Man.
this is Nathan's number 2.
This is a good episode, man. So we're going along. This is not my number 2.
Dang it. I was close. We'll tell me at the end. But yeah, Journey to the Dark Head. I haven't rewatched this one, but I'm dying to because I love this introduction. So we're introduced to like this girl who's in like this like monk space, and
It's raining.
it's raining. At the
important.
bottom, there are these glistening rocks, and they use these rocks and the glistening, the rain elements of it all to try and decipher the future, or is it the past?
It depends on the vision.
Okay.
They're ultimately trained to get more in tune to have a clearer focus of what the visions interpret as.
Yes.
And because you have to do it, there's a limited time before they evaporate back into the clouds.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool.
It's super cool. So yeah, the student sees a hazy vision. She sees like 2 individuals and a third onlooker standing in the middle between them. Usually I'm on it, like, you know me, I'm usually trying to guess what the show's trying to tell me here. I'm like, is she going to be the third onlooker there? Of course, she ended up being so, but in the moment, I didn't really take that into consideration. But overall, the monk does say like the student's power hasn't fully developed yet. And that's why she couldn't really see the full vision, and it would take some time for her to come to understand what the vision is talking about. But then, yeah, the student here, she wants to be more proactive, right? Like she says, like there are these visions of an impending war, and then they need to do something, right? This needs to be shared with the Jedi, but her teacher refuses, saying they just observe, they don't interfere. And then that's kind of it, as like the animation or the camera pans up to these 2 big statues overlooking this whole rocky courtyard, and then it cuts to a few years later. But yeah, just the whole beginning here, I immediately thought like, oh, the young girl is a Jedi, right?
I did too.
That's kind of the idea that you get here. Like there's monks around her. She's getting visions from a rock. There's these 2 statues above her, and then it cuts to the present. I forget how long the time skip is, but either way, it cut to the present, and she's amongst the Jedi Council. And again, I'm like, oh, she's a Jedi petitioning the Jedi to get involved in like this conflict that she knows from her childhood.
Yeah. It was another thing of balance, right? Just like there's so much like uprising of the Sith. And you know, they figured they can change the tide of the war if they cut off that dark side half of the great visions.
Exactly. That's her plea, right? That's her plea. Like she wants to cut off something. And then Aura, the mechanic now, she's a mechanic on Coruscant. Aura, that's her goal here, right? Like to stop this war from even getting even out of control, we have to cut off the head of the dark side statue here. But
and
then we also
just from the jump, with that plan, I was like, this is a terrible plan. This is not going to go well.
It doesn't make sense, right?
You have to have the balance.
There's an inherent flaw to it, where it's like, if we feed the dark side, then we'll always be good. But as Yoda says, the Jedi always say, the dark side is always a part of you. That's the job of the Jedi, is to not succumb to that darkness. But the darkness is as much as part of the Force as the light is. One's not over the other. Balance. But we do meet our new Jedi here, Tool, who's a young Jedi meditating. He had a bad experience in the past where this Sith Lord named Bianchi killed his master in brutal fashion.
Mm.
Master comes to protect Tool, who is like, a young Padawan at the time. Master protects him, but then she gets stabbed in the back by like this tendril coming from the Sith. Very cool design. Great voice
Great,
acting from the Sith as well. Oh my
great voice acting.
god.
Great mask
Great mask.
with the draped cloth.
Incredible
Wow.
stuff here. So Tool is struggling. They're both struggling, right? Well, Aura is struggling with like her past, her vision, and trying to, be proactive.
Hmm.
Tool is struggling because of his past as well. And like the dark nature of his past, the Sith. And we see that the Sith is on Coruscant as well, just like following Tool and just
Yeah.
like following him around. And that's so scary.
Or they get to one. They do a pit stop to garner. She's looking to get weapons to blow up
Yes.
the statue, and then we kind of like pull back. Like he senses something, and it
Mm.
pulls back, and the Sith is there, and he's like, "Oh, I haven't felt this in a long time."
Yeah. So he's sensing the Sith is sensing Tool. So yeah, this is very interesting dynamic here. So yeah, as they're running away on their ship, just I love their banter. Right, they have great banter where she's kind of, due to her experience, she's not really fully confident in the Jedi. She's like, I could have just done this by myself, kind of thing. And
Hmm.
even Tool was just like not really vibing with it. He's like, "What is this mission about? Like, whatever." Like they're having that like chaotic YA banter, which I just love. They're like
Yeah.
just two children basically going on to this hectic mission.
Honestly, as soon as I walked in the room, I was like, "Is there romance? Can I get
Yes,
it?"
same. I'm always about it. I'm always about the romance as well. By the
But
end, it's
then,
like they're just best friends, but still.
but then she also like called him a kid, and I was like, "What's the age gap?"
Yeah, you
This is
get the
Sabine and
creepy.
Ezra situation.
To be, I'm getting like a Padme Anakin thing where
Okay.
she said kid. I assume she's like 3 or 4 years older than him, not long.
Yeah.
Because they have very much a best friend dynamic by the end of this.
Probably an
Um,
Qatar situation.
so yeah, I totally believe like this is a waste of time. I was like, this is not a waste of time. We must continue on this journey. But yeah, they're on this ship, and then the Sith ship attacks them in mid-flight. And of course, Tool knows what's going on here, but Bichan's or not Bichan, Aura has no clue what's
Hmm.
going on here. But they make their way to the I forget really what goes on through the action sequence, but they make their way to the temple, right, uh, with the two heads. And this is when I started loving the short even more because it's stormy, right? It's stormy, it's chaotic, and the goal is for Aura to go to the Dark Head while Tool stays behind to fight the Sith. Faces fears.
Yeah.
He's facing his fears with the Sith, while she has to go confront her past, her fears with the Dark Head. And just the dichotomy here where she goes to the Dark Head, but she doesn't know if that's a Dark Head, right? Because the lighting
Yeah.
given off by the lightsaber strikes of the
Well,
duel here is
yeah.
wow.
At first, well, the whole ring lights up in different fashions.
Oh yes, yeah.
And as she's running to the head, yeah, she is like kind of blindly, like, oh, I hope that's the right one. And as she approaches, she sees it's engulfed completely in red while the other's in blue, and it's like, okay, cool, this is it. And it's not until after she is right about to detonate that the force, I imagine, begins to shift the colors to where they both share red and blue equally on both faces.
Exactly. And they're both see red and blue, and she's like, wait, what the hell? Like she gets confused. While this is
Mhm.
going on, you get the red and blue strikes of Tool versus Beaton and the Sith. And the Sith is again trying to manipulate Tool, saying like, join me, like you can become the Sith kind of thing. It's like, don't run away from your darkness. Like really trying to bait him because he does have the
Yeah,
darkness, because he does have that revenge filter. He's like, I just have to avenge my master. So he's struggling with his past as she's struggling with what to do here with both heads. Um,
yeah.
so
Kind
yeah,
of like,
how
kind of
does
like
this resolve?
instilling. Sorry, kind of like instilling into his mind that, like, the Sith are gonna be rising soon. You don't want to be left behind.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what
Oh
were you saying?
yeah, and then I was like, I forgot how it got resolved, but yeah, Tool is being wrapped around the neck by like the whip-like weapon.
Yeah.
His lightsaber's gone, and she realized that she is in fact the third onlooker here. and then she realizes what she has to do. She plants bombs and detonates both of them in the sky. And this was stunning. This is stunning to watch as
Yeah.
like the bomb collides with everything. The shockwave blinds Tool and Bichon. Um, Tool uses like the blinding moment to cut off the head of the Sith, defeat him in that split second of like uncertainty here.
I was like, hey yo,
Which was me too. I was like, yo, it was incredible to watch here as the Sith is defeated. And then, of course, they're both in free fall. And oh my God, I love this short even more in the free fall. This is big weathering with you,
oh,
the Zume vibes, right? Where you're free falling and then you're with your friend and you're holding each other's hand. I was like, this is the best. This is peak. It was great because they both were able to, he was able to defeat his master. She's able to save him as like the third onlooker while not succumbing to like just defeat the dark side, right? Or dark head. And then like he apologizes for saying like or she apologized for saying like I'm sorry for like wasting your time with this whole crazy ordeal. But he says, no, like you didn't waste my time. I think this was the purpose of the mission all along, to be like there's always light and dark. They need to coexist for the overall existence, right? Like of the force, right? There's always going to be evil. There's always going to be light to meet it. Just like, Last Jedi, darkness rises, light to meet it. Tool is coming to understand this. And the fight with the Sith is not really over, right? It's still, the war is still going on, but internally they both have evolved from their previous journeys of like trying to find balance in the dichotomy between the light and the Sith.
So good.
It was so good because, again, like great battles, great characters, great dialogue, great banter, great animation, great friendship that evolved through this journey to the Dark Head.
And then even when they walk out after that sweet moment, they go back to the rifting banter, and I'm like, give me a season.
Right? Give me a season of this. Studio Mirror, I know you can do it. Give me 6 episodes on Netflix or Disney Plus or something.
Who needs sleep? No, I'm sorry.
Not at all. But this is just such an adorable short. I loved the hell out of it. This was probably my number 2 of the season here.
Interesting.
What was yours? Number 4, 3?
Number 1.
Number 1. Let's go.
Let's go.
Oh, sweet.
This one, Evan. It's funny because I was looking at like a couple other lists, and a couple other ones of us in chat had it like at the bottom, and I was like, so I was like slightly in the back of my mind, but like every turn of the episode, I was like, no, this is peak. Keep going.
I'm so used to Studio Mirror, of course, Legend of Korra, and After Last Airbender. Just great stories filled with a great sense of adventure. Yeah, Legend of Korra specifically. Great sense of adventure. The characters evolving through their journeys, just like Legend of Korra, just like Avatar, right? Like you evolve through your journey. It's like how stories go. But again, both characters having to learn from the past, achieve that balance, again, which is the theme of the season, along with oppression. Achieve that balance, and the battle's not over, but internally they both have evolved and they both have triumphed over themselves internally. So it was a great internal evolution with both characters, great relationships through their changes. Oh man, it was great. And then the fact that she's like a mechanic and she's not a Jedi, but he was a Jedi, and then it was just a great twist of fate there. But then we get my other favorite here. Woohoo! Spy Dancer. Fan-fucking-tastic.
Actually, I think I have to edit my list here for a second.
Spy Dancer was phenomenal. And this one really snuck up on me. This is Studio La Cachette. And it began kind of like a mid-movie or noir movie or espionage thriller of the 1940s with stormtroopers muddied their brutally or showcasing the brutality amongst like these innocent civilians. They enter a club just to wind down, right? They wind down through this club, and we get a performance from their big billowy dancer here named Louis. And we learn, of course, throughout the course of the story that she's a mother. She is a spy working for the rebellion. They plant trackers on these stormtroopers who, unbeknownst to them, are getting, or the stormtroopers are just basking in the club. And what I found so fascinating about this was that eventually, when the spies do get caught, they're like, "Oh, we knew we shouldn't have never trusted you, civilian scum or whatever."
Mm.
You immediately realize that they never really cared, because when they walk in, they're basking in the glory of the club. They're basking in one of the ones who takes the helmet, the black guy, was just like he's
Mm.
so infatuated with it all. His best friend here is like, "Oh yeah, like this, we need to wind down, right?" After brutally doing some bad stuff to the civilians outside, they feel like they
Yeah.
can just wind down in this club, and they come to realize, or the audience comes to realize that they never really care. The Imperials never really cared about the culture
Yeah.
of the club. They never really cared about anything that was going on. They just feel like this is just hard to explain, but I feel like this is what just deserved to them. They feel like they should be placated to. They feel like they
Yeah.
should just like enjoy it, but they never really understood what was going on with this dance in a sense, right?
Yeah.
So much so that they're so easily getting their trackers placed on them because they have they're not really diving into it. They're just entranced by the beauty of it, but they don't really care to see the deeper nature of that beauty. Is what I'm trying to say there. Um, but then Spy Dancer, she has a past, and when she comes across like this evil-looking man on the balcony over watching the stormtroopers and over watching the play, she gets flashbacks to her. Um, is it her husband? Is the one that gets killed here by I forget what happens here.
I don't recall a husband.
Or either way, like her child gets taken from her
Yeah.
through the flashback. Yeah, okay. So her memory flashes back to like this village ravaged by the Empire. This Imperial officer snatches her infant away from her, knocking her unconscious. And basically, she thinks she falls for her death. Or no.
Mm.
That's when during the play. But
Yeah.
yeah, so basically, we see the big Imperial looming over her in the flashback, just
Hmm.
takes her child away while he massacres that village.
Yeah.
And this was such a heartbreaking flashback. Um, Again, similar to In the Stars, we're getting these dark flashbacks where in the Stars, the mother was killed.
Hmm.
In this one, you assume the child was just taken, killed through this awful flashback. And when you see her recollect that, and then you see the guy standing or sitting in the balcony, you're like, "Oh, this is the guy. This is the guy."
Yeah.
That's what she thinks as well. But it turns out through her interactions, or when she's about to kill him, and this is just a young kid, probably like in his mid-20s here.
Yeah.
Um, and this was such a fascinating twist. My brother immediately caught it out, like, "Oh, that's the son." I'm just like, "Oh, wow, really?" I was like, "That would be shocking." And then it turned out that to be the case. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because like they do cut back to like the events, but you don't fully see what happens until later around the reveal. So in my brain, seeing this other younger dancer that she's with, um, I figured, oh, that's her daughter. Maybe that was the baby. Maybe they made it out somehow.
Mm.
Um, so I thought, so placating like a red herring type situation. Um,
Exactly. Yeah, especially because the daughter also has, not the daughter, but the younger girl has the same eyes, right?
they're the same
Um,
species, yeah.
Same species. So you assume that it could be of like the same family, same lineage.
Yeah.
But I guess they are just like you just said, same species. Um, but again, yeah, she almost falls. Is this very much a? It reminded me of the Great Flying Graysons in a sense, right? Where it's
Oh
like,
no.
oh, something tragic happened in the past, but then they're using like this whole carnival aesthetic here throughout the story to simplify, like, oh, rebellion, to simplify like fear and everything like that. It was very cool. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, but then her other friends start helping her out throughout this because the goal was to put the trackers on them and then just go and run away, basically, right? Especially when they get caught. Um, but yeah, when the fierce battle ensued, we get this beautiful animation. In the way this animation is set is like when you get the battle, the young girl starts flying down in this gorgeous one-shot looking animation, where the younger one is like taking down all the stormtroopers. Um, the other friend, I think his name is Joe, was like, "What's going on over there?" And like there is some added comedy amidst the tension here. Um, but the real hook here is that like she thinks this Imperial officer was the Imperial officer, but it's not, and then she has to really come to terms with who he actually is. And I think as a mother, she immediately knows what he could be, especially because he's wearing the eye patch. And the distinctive nature of the story, it's never really finger pointed at all, but it's like the yellow and the blue eyes. And then
Yeah.
when you see his eye, I think he's covering up the blue, or I think he has the blue, but he's covering up the yellow, vice versa, whatever.
I
Um,
it could go either way. Either he's hiding it, or they, you know, he
or
actually lost it.
great point. It's like, or no, I think doesn't take off his mask at the end of the short.
At the end, he takes off his hat,
His hat.
and it reveals. And I figure he was hiding his horns because the species have horns, but you actually see they were cut off.
Oh, that's what it was. So yeah, he because at the end he looks at the baby through the hologram. He sees like the eyes, but yeah, the horns, the
Mm-hmm.
incisions on the horns was very dark. And even
Yeah,
though we don't see like the eyes, but we see the horns, we're like, oh, so he is a part of the species. But like, if the Empire, maybe himself, has like erased that part of him, which is
yeah.
so tragic.
It feels very Prince of Egypt in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
The fact that the Imperials or Pharaoh attacking these innocent civilians, and then uh, bringing them up in the very house of the oppressor, this lost child that gets reconnected with family, altered looks. Like Moses wears a wig when he's in the palace because he has the different types of hair growth and his
Yeah.
genetics. And then same here, hiding the alien nature because the Empire's always been pretty anti alien, and even when you
Exactly.
you know start to think of the canon, it's very First Order. The stealing of children for your own ranks.
Big time. It was very much first order, and it was just very unsettling. But then like the battle ensues, and like I love the moment where she gets to hug her son, and then she's like, "The Empire is taking everything from me," and like you get the sense that like she refuses to have the Empire take away her son again. But there's nothing she could
Mm,
do because she's getting chased by the Imperials. Her son's an Imperial, and then time is running out. But she does give him like the tracker,
mm,
the hologram in a sense.
yeah,
Just the hope, right? There's a hope that he can be turned eventually, that he will come to realize what is happening. Maybe he can become a spy as well.
yeah.
Um,
I
there's
love
just so much hope that was in the end of this short. I just loved it so much.
Yeah, the hug especially was amazing because she hugs him, and eventually initially he tries to break away, but she's like, no, holds him to face this moment, like really
So
profound.
good.
It's so
Yeah.
good. Even like when she has to run, I'm sitting here, I'm just like, order them to stop firing.
Please, I know, right? I thought he would, but then he's like, no, right? It wouldn't make sense, right? Because he's been in this for so long, and his pal was like, "Good job, you did so good chasing them off." Like, yeah, that's what they deserve. Yeah. But
Are you
man, this
bad?
was such a powerful story where it ends with him looking at the hologram and then just looking across the stars, like, what's next, basically. And this is
Yeah,
one where I'm just like, I could see more, but in of itself, the idea of hope was very much a very good ending for me.
yeah,
I loved this. This short really surprised me. It left it open, but also such an emotionally powerful ending with a beautiful animation. Um, these exaggerated styles was very cool for me.
yeah.
Yeah, this might be in my top three for sure.
The line
Uh,
work was gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Yeah. I
So yeah, that's my number two.
Number two. Sweet. What Nathan and I are very now. Your top five. It's getting better.
It
Squeeze and
was
reach.
number three actually, but in talking, I moved it up.
Yeah, I wonder what number three was. Was it Bandits of Galok? Galak?
It
Um,
was.
Sweet. Which was
that was that was
this
my
was
number
towards
two,
the
which is now three. But yeah,
this is towards the bottom for me, but I loved this one. Animation very much like the Clone Wars. It had that Clone Wars aesthetic to it in terms of the 3D shading element
yeah. I
of
was
it all.
looking at it and I was like, oh, it's like Clone Wars, but like if they used Unreal Engine 5 or something, because like they've really advanced the quality.
Yeah,
One of these specifically was partnered with Lucasfilm.
I
I think
think
the
that was the
Pit.
Pit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Pit was the one that was part of this Lucasfilm.
This one though,
This one though,
I love
incredible.
that whole atmosphere of it. The
Hmm.
deep diving into the Indian culture, and really like connecting it into Star Wars to such a deep degree is beautiful.
Yeah, seeing our first Indian Jedi, Indian Inquisitor, and imagining what like an Indian version of Star Wars could really be here as Rani and Charuk. Rani is like the sister, I think, and Charuk is the brother.
Yeah, this Inquisitor
Great
might be my
stuff.
favorite Inquisitor design. He looks so
So
good.
cool, so badass. He has like those regal Indian like aesthetic, but
Yeah,
then like he also has like the signifying imperial blade on his back as well, which
yeah.
was so intimidating and
And
creepy.
even just the way the facial features are captured and designed for all of the different characters feel very Indian-esque.
Hmm.
Um, and even with the Inquisitor too, who looks so great with just like the facial hair and everything, but like with the blue tint skin, it's really good.
Very, very cool. And yeah, I love the clothing. I love the culture in this one. You know, weaving at the crowded trains of like India, right? The crowded trains, the chaotic chase sequence. It reminded me of like Slumdog Millionaire in a sense as
Mm.
well. Where
Very
right,
tasty looking food as well.
oh my god, oh my god, I needed that. I needed that so much. Or the food looked exquisite, exquisite to say the least.
I'm severely
Um,
lacking on Indian food in my palate. I need to rectify.
Me too. Because I'm not a huge spicy. I'm not a huge spicy food guy. I heard Indian food is
Mm.
all about spices. Um,
I
so
constantly cook with cayenne, so I'm very into
oh,
it.
so yeah, you're that's straight up your alley.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Audience watching like the whitest spice.
um, but yeah. Oh, this is one of my 88 pictures, by the way. Um,
Ah, yes.
but yeah, just I love this whole short in general. Very good encapsulation of like colonialism, oppression, kind of paralleling the British occupation of India, right?
Mm.
Which in a Star Wars context makes it even more similar because we know Star Wars is all about oppression, rising above that. British overtaking India, very
Mm.
similar tale there. So it makes it very tangible, the story. It
Yeah.
was very much a reflection of like real life history, but just told through this incredible story. And the dynamic between the brother and sister was very sweet, very heartwarming. Or the
Yeah.
sister is just like she's so young, she just wants to enjoy her life, whether it's the sweets, right?
Yeah.
Using the force, and the brother is so like hide away from using the force, hide away from like what your true self is, and he's not doing it
Hmm.
out of like shunning her, but just wants to keep her safe at all costs.
Given the
Um,
time period, makes sense.
Given the time period, exactly right. It's like anything could be seen as, even if she wasn't right. Like if she does something, people could immediately suss her out, which is what you saw. Like other people were turning the empire on them, right? They're not even
Yeah.
imperial, but they're just like, hey, you should watch out for them, those guys, right? It's like, damn, people are turning on their own in this time period, which is very sad and unfortunate. But the old lady at the end, when they get to like this sanctuary, she doesn't. She is able to fight off the Imperial as an old lady Jedi with her cane with the double bladed lightsabers, using the Force to distract him and hit him. And they're like, "This is the brother and sister are like, this isn't me. Like, what's going on?" And you'll realize it was her, the caretaker, this whole time. Because that's very much being a Jedi, right? Like you
Yeah.
take care of others, even if she wasn't using the Force beforehand. She was able to take care of people, whether this brother, whether this Jedi, and bring them to like at the end here some kind of society where people like her, like the sister, can be safe. Um,
Oh yeah.
and it reminds me of like what we learned in Jedi Survivor or like other in Kenobi, right? There's like this underground tunnel of surviving Force users, Jedi, whatever, that
Hmm.
need their help, and she was definitely a part of that in this weird Indian short. Um,
I love I love
yeah,
how that hidden path was hidden underneath the water, and you need to use the force to really unveil it.
unveil it exactly. And
This might
yeah,
this might also have my favorite score out of the shorts. I really
oh, I
love the
gotta
music.
rewatch it. I gotta rewatch it because I don't remember the score that much. But yeah, I believe you. because a lot of the scores are just very harmonious with what the plot was trying to convey
Yeah.
at certain times, and I really connected with that in the stars and Journey to the Dark Head. So I have to really
I think
rewatch.
also just in terms of Indian cinema and like Bollywood cinema, they tend to be very fueled musically, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and they
For sure.
so it's such good music what they
Oh, you're
produce.
right. Because then I'm just now thinking about it. Like during the fight sequence between the lady and the Inquisitor was, oh my god,
Oh
it felt
yeah.
like a incredible dance sequence, right? Where it's just like
Mm,
blade for blade, very good. And then I love the last words he says. What does he say? Like when he gets downed by the lady, he's like, "What a surprise,
yeah.
a Jedi in Glock," something like that.
Something like that, I think.
Yeah, he's stunned by like what he just witnessed. Um, and overall, it was just incredible. Great use of the force, great tale of this sibling dynamic. And then again, like they promise to see each other again one day. It's very sad because you get the sense that he's been having this not burden, but this responsibility of caring for his sister for a long time, and
Mm,
he's comfortable and ready for them to part ways. But hopefully, they can see each other again one day. It was
mm,
just very sweet. I love the hell the more I talk about this now, the more I'm loving
yeah.
this. Just like the whole
There's the
sibling
flute behind
dynamic.
to remember.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm loving the short now. The more I talk
There you
about
go.
it's so sweet.
Yeah.
And like as a brother myself, it's just I can't imagine like leaving my sister to go off. But then this is for her sake as much as it is for his.
Yeah.
And it's a very sweet dynamic. I loved it. Star Wars in India. I need a lot more of that. A
Yeah.
lot. But we also get one of the other darkest ones here, which is called The Pit. And
Mm.
this is the one that Lucasfilm was heavily involved with as well. I don't know why, but it's very similar to what the tenets of Star Wars here in terms of like hope and persevering amidst the darkness.
The voice of
Um,
the people.
Voice of the people. This is one where there is no lightsaber duel. There is no overt use of the Force. I don't think.
No.
Which is even weirder. That's
Well,
Lucasfilm's introduction.
the spy dancer didn't really have any force.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it didn't. Um, but yeah, this one here, very dark story because we get this idea of the pit, which takes place over a long period of time, where
Mm.
they're constructing the pit, or the Empire is using these innocent civilians
Oh,
as like a prison labor camp, dude.
it is. Yeah, it's wild because initially, it kicks off. The Empire's kind of has a detector, and they're like, "All right, dig here," and then they just keep digging. And you see in the background, you see the industrial development of like a whole city behind them, and it's like, Jesus Christ, they're down there so long. Just the evolution of it, and then when they finally reach the bottom of it, and they're like, "All right, that's it, we're done," and the Empire just leaves and leaves them in there.
Just leaves them there, and I was just my mouth dropped. I'm like, wow. I mean, it's not shocking, but it's just haunting and bone chilling that there's
Yeah,
a whole civilization of people left behind by the Empire. And the main character, the main black guy, is just like they're struggling to continue to survive. There's no food, there's no water. It's like, what do you do with so many people here? But
yeah,
yeah, like as you said, like it happened over a long period of time. This whole construction of the pit, that there was able to be a whole city constructed above them, um, with their knowledge. Like they were aware that there was a city being built above them. That's why first things first, they realized like, hey, we need somebody to go out there and give us hope, search for us. And some
yeah,
people like this is too dangerous, or what if they don't even help us? But it's that hope. The hope is like what really pushes ahead the main character here as he tries to survive and climb that wall. Were you also getting Dark Knight Rises vibe from this, Nathan?
I was Matalo Bane Bane. Just climbing up, really cool.
Yeah.
I was also taking notes just based on like how they drew the interaction of lighting and the different proportions of the people. I was like,
Great point. Yeah.
this looks like Attack on Titan, kind of in the art style.
Yeah.
From
Had
what
that
I've seen.
studio wit kind of vibe to it. Yeah. What I also liked about this, as I'm remembering, just the whole notion of like kyber, like they're searching for kyber crystals, right? Like
Right.
kyber is like what the Empire is all about. Like kyber is going to give them money and wealth, but for them, for the people, Kyber does not represent money or wealth. It represents like life or hope,
Mm.
light, happiness, like something more endearing and
What it's
everlasting.
supposed to represent.
Exactly, right? What much more than something much more everlasting than what the empire thinks it is, which is just again money and wealth and just like we need to be profitable or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, Crux here, that's his name, Crux, begins
Mm.
climbing the wall. And I like how the animals, once again, nature is helping him survive, right? Helping him get to the upper end, which is very cool
Yeah.
assistance there. Was it because he's force sensitive? Maybe. Force sensitive beings always have a connection to nature and the living. But he
Well,
gets to this city
yeah,
and he starts like, somebody help us. He just goes right into the middle of the crowd. He's like,
yeah.
come on, will help
No
us.
one
And
listening.
no one listening. The people are confused, right? They're like, there's a pit. Like they have no idea of the knowledge of what's going on here. Some of them listen, some of them don't. It's a very mixed crowd. Um, and yeah, again, they're like the people that built this city, the people like
We
the
built
people in the
this city.
pit, the people in the pit like basically helped build this city
Yeah,
because of their construction, because of their work. So that dichotomy is very interesting
yeah,
because the city is built on Kyber. Kyber crystals are powering the city, and the Kyber crystals are mined from the people in the pit.
yeah.
So this
And
that whole relationship is very troubling.
yeah, and then yeah, he does ultimately find that platform and for people to listen to, and they do listen, but
Yeah, it's
the
too late.
Empire comes in, shuts him down. They stun him. And it's like, oh god. Uh,
Oh, Nathan.
oh my god, I didn't see
Oh,
this
Nathan.
coming. And I was
I
like,
did
there's
not
no.
see this
I
coming.
was like, he'll fiddle out. He'll
I
break
was like,
away.
the little girl's gonna freeze him as he drops or something like that, right? Or
Oh,
maybe he'll free himself, but
I think I
oh
was too
my,
stunned to even consider that because
oh my god, because
yeah,
they just
they
sweep
do
him. I'm like, there's
right
no
in.
way.
And I'm just like, oh no, because we saw how far of the drop that is. No one's living through that.
Oh my god,
And I was
it
wondering,
was
like,
so dark.
and I was wondering if maybe because I was like, okay, he's definitely gone, but does he even get a last word? And they bring the sheet in, just
They bring
it's
the sheet
over.
in over him, just that feeling of hopelessness. And I love how the perspective switches from Crux, who is now perished, unfortunately,
Hmm.
to the young girl, which is named Villy. As she comes out of the tent, and she sees the people around the body, and it's so sorrowful, it's so sad. Um, but it doesn't end there, right? The story could have easily just ended there, but no, it's like they do what all workers do. It's like they follow the light,
Hmm.
just like what he said, like his path, his whole purpose was like follow the light for the girl, and that's what they do through
Hmm.
her, through the girl. The people in the pit follow the light. They scream like "help us" while also like shining the light, um, and it was so powerful.
Yeah,
And
power
then
in their collective voice.
exactly the power in the collective voice as the people in the city, the inhabitants, also come out of the city to the pit with lights and pitchforks. Like the lights are brought to them. Stormtroopers, there's like a couple of them. They can do nothing. Even the commander who initially like told them to leave the pit is powerless to stop them.
He's like,
Um,
let's bail.
exactly. Like basically they just leave to go probably do the same thing elsewhere, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Um, But in this story, which is called The Pit, the workers are finally seeing sunlight.
Mm.
Um,
This was
they finally escape. It was beautiful.
this is kind of well, the whole like town, they like circle around, and the people who are trapped, they see, and it's like, oh wow. And then they take a step back away, and
Mhm.
they get kind of worried. They're like, oh no, they have abandoned us. And I'm sitting here like, guys, come on, they just they're getting stuff to help you. Like, it's fine.
Relax. I can understand their fear as well. Um, but yeah, and then we
Sure,
learned that she is
absolutely.
force
You're down there that long, you're like,
but
yeah.
yeah, it was crazy. But then we learned that she is force sensitive because like the kyber crystal starts floating horizontally or vertically above her as well. So she is force sensitive. Like she's able to follow
It
the
turns
light.
blue.
That yeah, it turns blue. Um, just like we learned in Ninth Jedi, right? Like kyber crystals, like they speak to you, and her crystal is blue, it's full of life and purpose. Um, and again, just the legacy of Crux being able to, like, even after death, give them hope, give them life, give them purpose. And his legacy, his relationship to the people in the pit is everlasting through, once again, painting, where we get a post credit sequence where we see a painting of Billy Crux rising up against the Empire, these cool punk rock vibes amongst the painting. It reminded me of like what Sabine did in Rebel. It's just like creating their legacy through painting, through art. So even though this pit was an example of something tragic and dark that they all had to live through, just that painting, it just changes the whole aesthetic. It changes the whole outlook on the pit. Even though we've been through a lot, and this location could be deemed as very dark and tragic, given what happened to Crux, the painting changed the whole landscape. It changes the whole way you view what happened to them in the pit. So, man, it was a fantastic premise, dark but uplifting at the end as well.
Yeah,
Great stuff.
I love it. Then that made it my number 5.
Yeah, it was very well done. I think this is my number 5-ish. It's in that middle area for me as well. And that leaves us last with Owl's Song, which was another fantastic one. This one surprised me big time. As
Oh
we're
yeah.
learning about like the music and the elements of the Force. You're somebody who's getting into Light of the Jedi. This one reminded me how in Light of the Jedi, High Republic, one of the Jedi, Avar Chris, she
Mm,
sees the Force through song, I believe, right?
mm,
Not song, but just like I think music. Um,
mm.
Unless I'm making that up. I'm pretty sure Avar Chris sees
How many novels deep are you?
I mean, Avar is only in the first 3 novels. How
Mm.
she sees the Force, but yeah, in general, I love this whole short by yeah. She viewed the Force like music, hearing the song of life and death, and able to sing to it in return through the Force. Okay, I'm not going
Mm.
crazy. Um, so that's immediately what I got from this. But also, just let's talk about the studio. Studio is Triggerfish Studios, and there's like a 3D rendition of their entire story here through like wooden, soft, plushy aesthetic to it. Right?
Very
It's very
plushy,
cool.
yeah.
Very cool stuff. And once again, just like the pit, just like other stories, kyber crystals are a big backdrop, big centerpiece to this whole story.
Yeah.
I
It
love
kicked off
this.
with a crawl.
Oh
That
yeah,
was
you're right.
breaking down the backstory of this planet is that all of these kyber crystals were bled, corrupted,
Mm.
and it's their mission to mine them to be purified.
Yes, the miners like seek the help of the Jedi to like once they purify it, like they give it to the Jedi.
Hmm.
So the Jedi can help like rid the mind kyber crystals of corruption, and then they can be utilized and sold throughout the galaxy for a better purpose than just being corrupted kyber crystals. So the miners, these underground people, really working together with the Jedi for the help of the entire galaxy. And one of the miners, his father is Abi, who is like always busy, but I forget the
It is Au.
Ow. Okay.
Like as if an actual wolf, and I think Dave Filoni was credited. I think I saw
Oh wow,
special. I think I saw special thanks for him.
that's
Uh,
amazing.
and I was like, this motherfucker can't. He can't keep getting away with it
Yeah,
with the
but
wolves. No, I love it.
I loved it too. Like the design of and the Jedi that comes to like
Oh, she's so
claim the
cool.
crystal.
I love
She
her
is
look.
incredible look with that purple white design to it, and at the end when she's coming across or skidding across the rocks to save the child, save everybody, it was so badass.
It was funny because in the this happens in like 2 seconds, but like she ignited her lightsaber, and I was like, cool. Why? And then she started sliding down, and I was like, oh,
It was
so cool.
amazing. But yeah, just in general, this whole story was very remarkable because Ao sees the source through music, and her ability to sing um, connects with the kyber crystals. It connects with the force, and the father is afraid of that, right? She doesn't want her. He doesn't want her daughter to be like found out or anything like that. Um,
Yeah, well, as far as he knows, when she does get close to the kyber crystals, like it's even shown on his glove. It it becomes uncontrollable and chaotic,
Mm-hmm.
and so he perceives it as bad, and it's like, oh no,
Exactly.
you gotta hide this part of yourself, you gotta keep it deep down. It's Elsa and Frozen, you know.
Mm-hmm. Uh, so yeah, just like this whole idea of like harmonizing through the music, through the forest. Just while this is going on, by the way, the journey to the cave that Ao goes on,
Hmm.
because she wants to like purify the crystals. Um, Such a beautiful song, beautiful animation. I immediately thought it felt like an indie video game to me. Like it had a
Mm.
video game aesthetic where she's like going along like this whole like soft journey.
Hmm.
Um, it
Little
was just
Big Planet.
it kind of in a sense, yeah. Outer worlds, big Little Big Planet. Just had a
Yeah.
very indie feel to it. Small. I mean, these are all short, so they're all small scale. But this one just had a very small, naturalistic feel to it. I love that whole aesthetic. And most importantly, though, we saw a story between sisters in these shorts, mother and daughter. But this one between her father and daughter, a father-daughter dynamic, which is very sweet. Because the father's just trying to look out for her, and she's like using the force to harmonize through the kyber crystals. Um, Her harmonics in the end basically hit all the kyber crystals. They suddenly turn blue as all the corruption is like withered away, basically making them clear, making them blue, making them have purpose now.
Mm.
Um, as you know, the father looks on in like stunned silence.
Mm.
But he also comes to realize that her voice is a gift, right? Her voice is a gift that can cure the kyber crystals, it can cure the land. Um, and that this gift, she needs to go on a bigger journey, bigger than herself, basically.
Yeah,
Um,
but
just
this felt like the most um how to describe it, it felt like the most calming passing of from from parents to guardian Jedi, you know.
mhm.
It Because I think maybe that helps because it seems like the dad and the Jedi are good friends, so like there feels like an even stronger hope that like there'll be connection again, not
Exactly.
too far off.
Yeah, and I misspoke earlier because I think the father initially was like, "I don't want my daughter to go off." Like he's still scared for her. But
Yeah.
B, I think or not B, the Jedi is kind of like she needs like this needs to be protected. This needs to be controlled. And I think she'll be better off with the Jedi, which she probably would be.
Yeah.
But
It was
again,
like
like you,
we don't
yeah,
choose where our path takes us, what she said.
bingo, exactly, yeah.
But
It's like,
you
mm,
know, it's just it did just feel very like wholesome uh with the progression of it. Whereas like the other ones that we saw, it's like it's always passing them off to a stranger that you've only just met. But this person has been around. Like even like in the beginning, she was like, "Oh, you've grown." Like she's known her for a while.
exactly. Um, and yeah, like they'll meet again. She's able to connect with the Jedi, and then hopefully, go on to the train and to learn even more about her abilities with singing. Um, but again, I just love like how her father and the daughter hug it out and are able to like leave on great terms because the father did love her. He was just scared for her. He was very caring of her. Very similar to like the Golok with a brother and sister. Like he's able to relinquish his protection of her so that she can have a better life, so she can better control her powers. So this whole family dynamic is really prevalent here throughout all these shorts, or most of these shorts. Um, so yeah, I just had a great time. Great animation when she's harmonizing amongst those red kyber
Oh
crystals. Just the whole sequence there was stunning.
yeah, it was. I think I described it as I was watching as dazzling. It's a very dazzling episode.
True. Yeah, exactly. Dazzling, happy. There's no like evil, right? The evil are like the red kyber crystals themselves, which are in the cave, kind of like speaking to her. But
Mm.
then she's able to like harmonize and sing and overcome it, and then just like uncorrupt them, um, uncorrupt those voices of the evil crystals. um,
It's a story coming into your own, no matter what others say, even if they're your
exactly.
closest.
Exactly. Yeah. Overcoming the crystals, overcoming her father, but not in a negative way, just like in a positive way, where she's able
Yeah,
to not ignore her calling. Um, yeah, great stuff. Great arc for all the characters here. Great stuff. So this was your number what? 5, 4,
it was my number 4, but as we
4,
talked about, I moved it up to 3.
3, as we do. So great family and stuff in general. I loved all of these shorts, Nathan. I thought great family stuff, great animation across the board, great stories. Some worked better than others for me, but in general, I loved a lot of what they had to say, as we talked about. I loved a lot of what they brought to Star Wars in general, just the imagination that this universe can give creators. That was very cool.
Absolutely. I adore it, and I can't wait for hopefully a volume 3.
Exactly. And then eventually we still have to do a commentary of these sometime. Maybe, it took us
Yeah,
a while to do Vision Season 1 commentary. I think we did that just last year. Or was that this year?
that was last week.
Oh, that was last week. No,
Yeah,
was it really last week?
yeah, when we did a commentary, yeah.
Did we not watch these with Carson at
No, I
all?
mean we've reviewed
We
them
reviewed them with
when they
Carson.
first came out with
Why did
Carson.
I think maybe I'm thinking we did a recap with Carson a while back. But I figured like we talked about it.
We did the last few episodes of season 1 of Bad Batch with Carson.
Maybe that was it. But either way, yeah, we literally watched these last week. But I would love to do a commentary of these this year as well.
Me too.
Just probably during the summer, just revisit these
Yeah.
down the line again when we have time. Great stuff. But yeah, Vision Season 2 was a triumph, remarkable stuff. Can't wait to revisit it in the future. But yeah, so you guys can find me on Twitter at HarrisEV9. I don't have a lot of my Visions recap. That was all in the podcast here. I didn't really write it down a lot on Twitter.
Go make your ranking now.
But yeah, I'll go make my ranking, and maybe I'll post that on Twitter as well. But in general, Nathan and I are going to do our Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 review this week. We loved that movie. Just spoiler alert there. But in general, we have more commentaries to share starting next week as well. We have Little Mermaid coming up.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones coming up, Mission Impossible coming up. May is coming to a close, school year is ending, and I'm going to have a lot more free time. So I can't wait to get into all that. Yeah.
You find me at _TimeBlazer, making a show called Time Blazer. If you're very much into animation, the whole talking point today was Visions and the different animated shorts. I really think you're going to enjoy what I have to bring to the table with Time Blazer, as well as with creative consultant here, Evan Harris, and co-star as well. Many things coming up, got a trailer coming up. This, the whole journey with Visions is only, as I do with every animated project I encounter, has only left me with inspiration and a drive to achieve something greater and to push further. I think you can only hope with art and animation. So very much looking forward to debuting a new look at that, but we also have a bunch of different other things available here on the channel, as well as the official Twitter account at _TimeBlazers. Please check that out. And that being said, if you enjoyed this commentary, this podcast, Hyperspace Hype, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe now, ring the bell so you miss future installments. We're going to do a special 100 episode soon by June, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
And with that being said, I hope you have a great day, and may the force be with you always.